crucial final 2 rounds of the Mobile One British Rally Championship couldn't be more different in style. The finale would come on the Isle of Man, but Belvoir Castle and Grantham in Lincolnshire hosted round 5 of the Mobile One British Rally Championship, the MSA Rally. It will be flat out all the way for Marco Epati, defending the slender championship lead, held since he scored outright victory on round 2 in Cumbria.
Of course it's realistic because there's still 2 rounds to go, but we have now 3-point cap. But good score, very good points here. We have a good chance.
Mark Higgins, though, was flying high. His second victory of the season on round 4, the Jim Clark Rally, put him back in the chase.
There's everything to play for here. It's only a short event, but very, very important. So you've got to be very careful not to make a mistake, and you could very easily throw the whole job away here. So it's going to be difficult, especially running first on the road. I think we may have a bit of a problem sweeping all the loose gravel off, because unfortunately it's not really just tarmac. There's a lot of gravel out there as well.
Higgins' Vauxhall teammate Neil Weirden had hit problems thus far, but it hadn't affected his confidence.
Should have won really the last 3, something like that, but it's the way it is, the way the sport goes. You can't be too downhearted about it. We've just got to go into every event thinking we can win, and I'll be doing the same this weekend. You know, it's a short event, 42 miles, but it might suit me, you never know, because like I say, I started from the very low in an old Mark II Escort doing stages. It's basically the same as this, so it might work in my advantage, who knows.
Reigning champion Tapio Laukkanen was 5th in the points after a dramatic Jim Clark rally, but he had a secret weapon.
Very well, I think we do have quite a nice setting for these sort of conditions, and then we do have a special tyre which has been made for these conditions as well, so I'm very confident, yeah.
Both Michelin and Pirelli had been looking for a tyre for the unusual MSA stages. This was Pirelli's solution.
Well, basically it's a cross between a tarmac tyre and a gravel tyre. It's in between, which is what you need for this rally because there's so much broken tarmac roads with loose gravel. And this is the tyre that we're going to use. It's got a deep tread and it's got a gravel compound, but it's also the same width as the tarmac tyre. It's a 17-inch diameter, so that means that they can run the big brakes as well, so they can have a car in between tarmac and gravel. And hopefully it'll do the job.
So tyres can be very important on this rally?
I think it'd definitely make a big difference, the tyres on this rally, yeah.
An early morning start for Mark Higgins and Brian Thomas. Ahead of them 15 special stages, the longest less than 3.5 miles. It would mean pushing flat out from the word go.
350 through dip. Max Crest okay, 60, turn right 2 cuts. Repeat, Max Crest okay, 60, turn right 2 cuts.
And tyre choice was indeed proving vital, particularly after overnight showers had left the stages even more slippery. Higgins' teammate Neil Weirden was one of the first to be caught out. Both our fleet-footed camera crew and Neil Weirden were at least able to escape unscathed. But so tight was the leaderboard that the delay of just 10 seconds was sufficient to drop him down from the potential lead to 6th place. Tapio Laukkanen was one driver to benefit. He'd opted to combine heavily treaded gravel tyres with the latest hard asphalt suspension. And it seemed to be working well on the Stoke Park stage at least.
Heti oikein K+3, oikein nopea miinus. Heti vasen nopea käännä. Ja oikein eri 10, pitkä vasen eri 5.
In contrast, Jarmo Kutuleito was having a hard time on Barkston Airfield. The Hyundai Coupe was dropping down the order, and Jarmo's style was getting more and more ragged.
Vasen eri 30. Vasen taas sisältä 70. Vai pitkä oikein eri.
And that impact on a bollard would mean a damaged wheel rim, a slow puncture and still less grip.
Oikein täysellä leikkaa 40.
His teammate Andrew Pinker was another to find these short sprint stages a culture shock. He's more used to driving the entire distance of this rally just to reach the start of some of the rally stages in his native Western Australia. The tightest and narrowest stage of all was Mauchery Wood, ideal ground for the compact Peugeot 106 GTI, although even David Higgins queried the road narrows instructions in his pace notes.
70, right 2 plus late, narrows. Right 2 plus. 90, yeah, late narrows. 70 over kinks to left 2 plus.
Both the Peugeots were in the top 10 at the end of the 5th special stage. Higgins was 10th, while teammate Justin Dale was 8th, but just 12 seconds covered the top 3 cars in the Ferodo Super 1600 class. And chasing the 2 Peugeots hard was the ever-spectacular Ulsterman Neil McShay in his Asquith Autosport Citroën. The Saxo is a true rally kit car, built by the privateer team from a kit of parts bought from the French factory, and McShay was just 3 seconds behind Higgins, 12th overall. Despite lying 3rd in the Manufacturers' Championship, it was proving a disappointing rally for Proton. Both the 1600 car and Swedish driver Mats Andersson feel more at home on longer, faster, more flowing stages, and they were struggling, 16th overall.
Left 2 plus continues, 60. Left 2 minus slippy to keep right through Bales.
And already, even the most innocuous shortcuts were being punished by hidden obstacles.
250.
But the most dramatic casualty of the opening stages was the Mitsubishi Lancer of Neil Simpson. The Lancastrian, who earlier this year came close to winning the Scottish Rally, had suffered bad luck yet again. He found an uncovered manhole on the Barkston airfield, ripping the rear suspension to pieces. His brave attempt to complete the stage will be in vain. He was destined for retirement. The Mitsubishi of Marco Epati was now 2nd to Mark Higgins, but was also carrying the scars of a narrow escape on the Exton Park special stage. A ride through the stage with the Finn shows how close he came to disaster. And watch the dashboard display. 5th gear is equivalent to 110 miles an hour. The Finn obviously has the luck of the Irish, the tree bouncing him back onto the road and back into contention. The rally, though, was proving a dream come true for Guy Anderson from Buckinghamshire. A class winner in a 1600cc Proton last year, this was just his 6th rally in his Mitsubishi. And he was 3rd, just 7 seconds behind Higgins as the backfires from the car's turbocharger echoed around Beaver. Meanwhile, Johnny Milner was on weasel watch in his Toyota. Some would say it was a totally great achievement for this car even to get to the start line. Just 2 weeks previously, a fire on the Jim Clark rally had burned the car into the ground. At the service area, the new decals were a typical Milner touch. Fireman Johnny, as ever, was putting a bright face on misfortune.
Yeah, we're just very lucky. The sponsors have backed us big time. The mechanics have worked night and day. We actually had this sister car as a body shell, so they've done extremely well to get it together and get it ready for this one.
Could suit the four-wheel drive Toyota, yeah?
Yeah, I think this rally, changing weather conditions, short stages, me being an ex-rallycross man, realistically we can take sensible time off the Formula 2 cars, get the first 4 or 5 out of the way and we'll see how we're doing against them all.
Meanwhile, Jarmo Kuutelaito was enjoying the idea of a rally with meal breaks.
We lost the time on the first special stage. We had the puncture and that cost for us a lot of time. We can see the four-wheel drive cars are going very well on the stages when it's very slippy and stages are so short, it's very difficult. You can get some seconds, but not much.
At Vauxhall, Weirden was on a fight back after his earlier spin, now back up to 5th, but all talk was centred around tyres.
But then again, nothing works in that. So it's very difficult to have the right tyre. All 3 competitors could go in there with 3 different tyres, and every single one of you could come out there and say, well, we didn't have the right tyre, you know, it's so difficult. But I suppose it's, you take the rough with the smooth and you have a good time on one and you lose a load on the next. You just got to see what happens, and I'm sure a lot will happen. I just hope it all doesn't happen to me again.
Tyres were the point of discussion at Volkswagen too, but Tapio hadn't used his secret weapons yet.
We are not so far away from the leader, so I'm not so worried yet.
Are you going to try these new special rallycross type tyres on the next stages?
Oh yeah, we have to, because now the other drivers are pulling a little bit away from us, so we have to do something.
And rally leader Mark Higgins was making some adjustments in the service area too.
I think we're quicker to the F2 cars in those bunch. Just not sure about Patty.
Are you cleaning the roads for everybody else or not?
I would say so. The first run, this one won't be such a problem because there's no real gravel on here. But I think from now on, this first loop's going to be quite difficult for us.
What about the four-wheel drive cars?
It could be their rally.
But as he started stage 6 at Beaver, it wasn't going to be Higgins' rally.
1, go, then left 5 cut, then latish left 4 fast, mud maybe, 70. Right 4 plus.
A bitter blow for Higgins and co-driver Brian Thomas. The seemingly innocuous rhododendron bush had hidden a tree root that wrecked the Astra's front suspension and potentially their year 2000 championship hopes. Unless Apati failed to finish 2, Higgins couldn't win the title in the final round. Higgins' rally and championship was effectively over. The onus now would switch to teammate Neil Weirden to see whether he could pressurise Apati into a mistake. Weirden was also still proving to be the man to beat, running at the head of the field and still with his own chance of the championship. Marco Apati remained in spectacular form in second place, 8 seconds behind Weirden. With conditions drying, the pendulum seemed to be swinging against the heavier four-wheel drive production class cars. Not that anyone had told Guy Anderson in third place in his Mitsubishi. The Buckinghamshire amateur had set a series of fastest times, and by the end of stage 10 he was just 3.5 seconds behind the Finn and 12 behind the rally leader.
Very pleased actually, we just come into service. I didn't actually know how we were getting on. It's a total surprise to me and yeah, more than happy.
Loconen, though, was not happy in 6th place, the Golf's stiff suspension not suiting the stages. At least our in-car cameras gave Tapio the chance to check his own performance. So let's sit down with a Finnish maestro for a rallying masterclass.
Okay, this is air wheel stage number 1. The start is quite a high-speed start, quite wide road, and you have plenty of room to play around. Next place is quite tight. You go the small crest, then to the narrow gate through the right-hander. It's junction right, quite sleepy all over the places. There is quite a lot of mud and loose gravel on the road. There was a few difficulties to make a tire choice for this because it was still damping in the morning, and we chose slicks, which was actually working quite well. Even on those damp places, Pirelli was working well. And in these sort of stages, you can lose a lot, but you can't actually win too much, and you have to be quite careful. But like you can see, it's quite smooth surface all the time, which is quite easy to drive, and the grip is still quite similar all the time. Long straight you can get up to the 5th gear, almost full speed. Tight junction again, hard acceleration. Then you can cut a little bit over the grass. Here is a big car. These are the tight chicanes, just try to slow down the speed. I was turning the car sideways a little bit too early, so we hit the pole a little bit, but nothing we didn't lose any time in there. Long straight again, something like almost 90, 100 miles per hour.
Pitkä oikein nopea loppus. Ja vasen oikein nopea.
Again, a lot of room to play around, but still you have to try to keep your lines very tight to get the good acceleration for the next bend. Almost to the finish line. Just a few bends to go. One more long straight. Tight left and right hander. The last left hander over the finish line.
An impressive run through stage 1 with Tapio, but for Mark Higgins the rally's already over. His contribution to our masterclass, special stage 6, was a short but dramatic one.
This stage here, it's quite a nice stage generally, but we knew it was quite slippery coming down to the first sort of corner. We had been warned about the hairpin further on. The first one's quite slippery, but got quite good confidence now that the grip is fairly decent. And it's just coming out of the bushes, and there's a tree stump in there which caught the wheel, and that was it. But I definitely feel that if we hadn't gone off, the next car behind would have done, or whatever. Whoever was first on the road was going to end up with that, unfortunately.
Mark's younger brother David, though, is still in the running. 8th overall and 3rd in the Ferodo Super 1600 class in the Peugeot 106 GTI. He takes us the full distance of the 2.5-mile Beaver Castle stage.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 30 slippy left, 4 tight.
Okay, here we go on to the start of the Beaver Castle stage. Unfortunately, it was very, very slippy on the start, and to see my brother off on the very first corner was not so good for my confidence. And unfortunately for him, I think if it wasn't for the fact he was first on the road, whoever was going to be first was always going to go off in that place. It was just so slippy. But obviously, once we got around this very tight hairpin here, which is very muddy, it then starts to get a bit more like a tarmac rally, and you can start to open the car up and really start to attack the stage.
Serious.
Obviously, where the cars in front have been cutting the corners are pulling quite a lot of mud out in places, so it's always tricky. You never quite know what you're going to get around the other side of the corner. But here we come onto a fast section, which is quite nice after some of the previous stages.
70. Right 3 plus fast, strong bail.
And away we go again, trying to work out where we're going, judging, like obviously all these bales and things make it very difficult to see what's actually on the surface of the corner, so that makes things a little bit more interesting. But in general, this stage is probably one of the best stages of the rally, really. Bit of a slide through the muddy bit there.
Left 4.
And back up the gears now to 6th gear now, heading towards the tight bale here.
Right 6 long, 40. Right 5.
This is actually a very good recce for me. I can learn something for this for next time I go through the stage. Under the trees now, back onto the fast section. And if I remember rightly now, it's over the bridge.
Left 6 over small bump.
And then hard on the power all the way up the hill now for the next bit.
Left 5. Into right 5, tightens.
It's quite a tricky little section up here over the crest here. It just tightens through a narrow grid, and there's a big tree on the outside, so you obviously got to be very careful you don't let the car drift too wide through there. But I think next time I can take that a little bit faster.
Into left 1.
Another tight chicane here, back onto the grass, and now it's just flat out all the way to the finish, I think.
Long opens, 70.
Yep, all the way now, up into 6th gear now, just before the finish line.
6 to stop.
Then hard on the brakes to avoid ramming my teammate on the finish line.
The final run through Stoke Park, Morkery, Exton and Beaver would make up the final group of stages before the finish. 5th in the Super 1600s, Matt Anderson and Claire Mole have been forced to give best, not just to the Peugeots and the Citroën, but also to a similar Proton.
Here, 8.3 plus of a crest bump, very slippy.
Welshman Charlie Dukes gave new co-driver Louise Evans a dream start to her British Championship career, beating the Works Proton into 12th place. And Sheffield's Gavin Cox would settle for 10th, giving him a slender 1-point lead in the National Group N Championship. While David Higgins was on his way to 9th and 3rd in the Super 1600 class. The ever-spectacular Neil McShay was 10 seconds ahead, 8th and 2nd in class in the Citroën Saxo. Local knowledge paid off for Rutland's Jeremy Eason, barely needing a co-driver, 7th overall on stages he knows like the back of his hand. Justin Dale was heading for 1600 class victory and a fine 6th overall in his Peugeot 106 GTI, just 13 seconds behind Tapio Laukkanen, whose secret weapon tyres took him to 5th place. Only 30 seconds separated the top 5 runners in one of the closest finishes in British Championship history. Mike Brown claimed a fine 4th with a smooth, consistent and fast run in the Mitsubishi Lancer, on occasion finding a quick way through the chicanes. But ahead of him, an epic battle for second and third. Marco Epati and Guy Anderson went into the last stage of the rally separated by just 0.3 of a second.
Vasentäys lyhyt yli 7. Hyppy pirun pitkä 50.
Anderson and co-driver Dave Taylor, though, came out of Beaver Castle nearly 4 seconds ahead. It was a stunning run through the stage to take the second place, and a dream come true for the amateur from Chalfont, who started his rallying career in the Larder Challenge. But almost a year to the day since their first ever British Championship win, Neil Weirden and Trevor Agnew were on their way to their second. Equally importantly, the victory keeps alive their chances of claiming the British Championship title, taking it into the 6th and final round on the Isle of Man. Well-deserved applause from the Vauxhall team for a job very well done, as the short, sharp stages proved that size isn't everything when it comes to an exciting rally. Weirden's margin of victory just 13.8 seconds ahead of Guy Anderson in a rally which was hard-fought to the very last inch. Champagne flows for Neil Weirden and Trevor Agnew, and their success moves Vauxhall into the lead of the Manufacturers' Championship. They're now 3 points ahead of Hyundai, with Volkswagen and Proton equal third, heading into the final round. It's all to play for.
It's been very, very tricky. It's been like 42 miles, but it felt like 142 the way we've had to drive. Each stage has had its own little bit of something that can catch you out, but brilliant to get to the finish, and obviously we're now, the championship is wide open again. I'm very, very apprehensive, very excited, but you know, quietly confident as well. I know the island reasonably well, and I'm confident the car can do the business.
Heading into the 6th and final round, just 10 points separated Marco Epati and Neil Weirden, now the only two drivers capable of clinching the title.